what is the purpose of my life? Where will I be in 20 years? Do I really even matter? There's such a battle raging inside of me, a struggle to decide, to choose light and darkness. They say that one brings life and the other brings death, that the choices facing me will determine my destiny. But I don't want to die. I want to live. But how can I have happiness? This world has such a strong pull on me to leave everything I have behind and follow it in its shining lights, to experience for myself its pleasures. But what will happen to me? It's like I can't see the future. Life, death, so different, so contrast, and the choice is mine. There are so many paths, so many outcomes. Which one of them is best for me? What do I choose? The world or Jesus?
I am the Lord thy God that created thee, and he that formed thee. Yea, I have loved thee with an everlasting love. Fear not, for I have redeemed thee. I have called thee by thy name. Thou art mine. I know the thoughts that I think toward you, thoughts of peace and not of evil, to give you an expected end. I have set before you life and death, blessing and cursing. Therefore, choose life.
Every single young person will stand at the crossroads and choose which path he will take. This is a decision that others can't make for you. It's yours, and yours alone. What are you going to do with your potential, your future, your destiny? I can't help but think that there's some of you out there who keep asking yourself, could it be that there's a God in heaven whose love is so deep, so vast, so high, so wide, so expansive yet so inclusive that he has a special plan and a specific purpose for my life? Yes, he dreams about you. His thoughts toward you are more in number than every grain of sand. You mean I can have, yes, but not in your own power, your own design, your own desire. It's only possible through the one who stood silently on the platform with Pilate, the one who was tied to a post and brutally scourged, the one who was raised between heaven and earth on an old rugged cross, the one who cried out, "It is finished," and paid for your sins so you could have life. There's only one, and it's Jesus. It's always been Jesus, and it will never stop being Jesus, because through the centuries of time, his power has not weakened, his presence has not waned away, and his grace is sufficient to sustain you through every trial, through every challenge, through every temptation, to every victory. Yet your heart is so hard. What has Jesus done to deserve such rebellion after all the love he's given you? Maybe it doesn't show on the outside, but down deep within there is a coldness, a bitterness that wants to break free from the rules and run away from home, and it's going to lead you straight into captivity. You are no match for the powers of hell and the urges of sin. Do you feel it controlling you? Do you feel it consuming you? You will never overcome it. Sin will make you its slave. This world will only bring ruin, regret, disappointment, shame, scars, brokenness, and death. Don't turn your back on Jesus. Don't throw away your potential. Don't squander your future. Don't deceive yourself with the devil's lies. Don't waste your existence on trivial worldly pleasures that are nowhere in comparison to the richness of God's blessings. Where are the young people who will rise to their feet and flood an altar with no more games, no more hypocrisy, no more facade, no more pretending? Young people crying out, I want to be free of these chains. I choose Jesus! He stands there waiting. His arms are stretched wide, ready to receive you. He loves you. Can't you hear him saying, go, my child. Go live the life I have for you. I'm right here with you. Run. Give your all to Jesus. Surrender. Decide to follow Christ no matter where he leads you. Let him be your everything.
Thanks for joining us at JCI Live, Austin, Texas, USA, as my husband always used to begin the program with. I had a scripture sent to me today, and I thought it was just great for today. It says, do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit. Rather, in humility, value others above yourselves, not looking to your own interests, but each of you to the interests of the other. Philippians 2, 3, and 4. So that's just a great way to start our program here. We've got a lot of news going on. And I've got a special guest that came all the way from Missouri.
Yes.
And Neal became a friend of mine at Facebook when we were praying together with a lot of other friends for Ted Cruz.
It sure was. It's been a long road.
And he drove all the way down to Kingwood, Texas yesterday. Was it yesterday?
I took off Thursday, I believe it was, and then...
Because the event was on Friday night, and several of us went there. There was a lady, Jude, that came in from New York. She's an attorney from New York, and well, we're going to talk more about that and what all. We even have. Greg was even to capture a video of Ted speaking. It's a 9-minute video, and it's just powerful. And I don't think anybody else got the whole video but you, so I was really excited.
It just blew us away.
He is. He's
we didn't
awesome.
expect him to be so, beautiful
Humble,
as he was that
humble.
night.
That's why I
Humble,
love
and
this humility.
He's leading the fight to make sure conservatives win this election, and we don't have anyone like him out there.
No, we don't. Yesterday was Constitution Day, and that was one of the reasons that Kingwood, Texas, had did this event, because they always celebrate Constitution Day. And it was a Tea Party rally where they celebrated the signing of the Constitution. In 1787, the United States Constitution was completed, approved by the Constitutional Convention, and signed by 39 delegates. It would be ratified by enough states to take effect less than a year later. It is the oldest written national constitution still in effect today, and it's the shortest. God saved the Constitution and these United States. And that's something we really need to learn more about the Constitution, what it says, and what our rights are, and to make sure we continue to keep those. Yeah. According to a new government backed study, an alarming number of teachers are dropping the Holocaust studies from their curriculum in order to avoid offending anyone. There's also a resistance to covering the 11th century the Crusades, a time in history where Christians fought Muslim armies for the control of Jerusalem, through teachings reportedly contradicted what is being taught in local mosques. The study was funded by the Department of Education and Skills and sought to uncover information about emotive and controversial history teaching in primary and secondary schools. Now, the findings are causing many Americans to question whether schools are being used as a vehicle for promoting political correctness. The report also cited a specific incident in a northern city where teachers were fearful of confronting anti-Semitic sentiment and Holocaust denial among some Muslim pupils. And this is absolutely outrageous. If we're not remembering the horrific mistakes that were made, we're going to repeat history. And other news, France is now preparing for civil war against Muslims to take their country back. That was posted on September 15th. The streets of France have turned into war zones. Thanks to refugees nearly a year ago, Paris, France experienced the worst terror attack in history at the hands of ISIS. From that day forward, Europe has been absolutely demolished and taken over by refugees, Islam, and ISIS terrorists hiding and waiting to carry out their new attacks. Since the refugee crisis, France has accepted 13,000 refugees, but many experts argue that number could be much higher, given that many are sneaking in and out of covertly. Nevertheless, France has been experiencing many problems with refugees, and it has led to officials afraid that they are going to lose their country. You were talking about this, weren't you, Greg, about Europe?
Yeah, right now, Great Britain has our nuclear weapons. And I think it's a high priority. We pay attention to it possibly falling in the hands of the Muslims. I've been talking about it for over a year, and I think it's time we take a plan of action with our nuclear weapons over there to secure them, before they turn them on us.
And where did they get these weapons?
Probably from the United States government, huh?
It's one of the things I'm trying to do is expose the evil that has gone on. So if we don't know what's going on, if we don't wake up to what some of the politicals, our leaders in our country have done, if we don't expose them, we're just all going to be sunk.
We're just going to be another propaganda country, just like the rest of them.
That's right. Iraqi Christians rise up and are forming a 100,000-man Christian army to fight against ISIS. For the last 2 years, they have been building a Christian army called the Babylon Brigade. So I thought that was really interesting to find that out. And a gunman, you may have heard yesterday, was identified in a horrific shooting in Philadelphia that left 2 police officers wounded. A woman is dead and 4 others injured by the shooter. The gunman was killed in the shootout with the police. Sergeant Sylvia Young, a 19-year-old veteran, was sitting in her patrol car when she was ambushed by the suspect. She was shot 8 times. Thank God for her bulletproof vest. It's just horrific what's going on in our country and against our policemen and people that are protecting us. It's just 4 firefighters from Maywood, Illinois, were sent home yesterday from work for not removing the American flag from their equipment. I would think that some of this news that's coming out was just, it couldn't be true. It's just, it's one of those magazines that's false
right,
or something. It's like, this is crazy.
Yeah, something futuristic, but it's actually happening now. It's
a firefighter being sent home because he has the American flag. Greg came in for the week because of Ted Cruz and him being in the area, and he showed me a video. I think it's a 20-minute video about the history of the flag and the national anthem and what how it came about.
How the song was written, and I believe you're going to be showing it pretty soon.
I thought we'd show it Wednesday. We were going to have a program next Sunday, but we got preempted from a special class going on, and so I have a Wednesday at 5:30 to 6:30 live, and Greg is going to be really talking about a lot of stuff going on, and we thought we would show that because we really, all these athletes that are going, saying they don't want to stand up for the flag. And, this is about us, the people, Americans.
Right. We actually, if people are worried about an athlete, and we've got people in our own government that are doing the exact same thing, and not
I
a
saw a
word
picture of
being
all of
said
our
about
senators
them.
not standing for the
Right.
flag.
We got
Pledge
a big job
allegiance.
ahead of us.
That's crazy. So at 2 p.m. today, we are going to have our first show of Prophecies of Hope. The history of why I'm back after 23 months of not being live here at Channel Austin after my husband passed away. I was irate when I heard that Alex Jones and Donald Trump wanted to oust our Senator Ted Cruz. And it was like, because he was not going to stand up and support the evil things that Trump has said, and they were going to make sure that he was not going to be our Texas senator anymore. And I have been following Ted since 2005, and really strongly in the last year when he ran for president. And if anybody ever came across me saying, well, he lied about this, I would go back and find out what they were talking about. And I never found any lies. He's not a liar at all. He's the most man of integrity I've ever followed. And when I saw that Alex Jones wanted to do some kind of campaign against him, I said, well, not on my watch. I'm going to do everything I can to help educate my audience here in Austin and around Texas and around the world of what he is doing for us in our country. And so after God had spoken to me that I should do that, I knew he wanted me to do about end time prophecies with Daniel. And so I got this brochure in the mail from Prophecies of Hope. Evangelist is in Elgin. He's been there for the last 6 weeks. This will be the final week. And he's done 4 teachings every week about understanding Daniel and Revelations and what's going on in our country and a lot of history. And so I asked him if we could show these DVDs that he's been putting on for our audience here in Austin. And so our very first one is going to be right after our program at 2 o'clock. And then the next week I'm going to do it at 3, and then the third week is going to be at 8. But I'm going to continue to do these teachings so that you will have the wonderful teachings straight from the Bible. Everything he preaches is not maybe his interpretation, but this is what the Bible is saying. And that's we're getting a lot of watered down teachings of not what actually is God's word. So that's going to be starting today at 2 o'clock, and then next week at 3, and the third week at 8 p.m. And we will not be live next JCI Live next week at 1, but I'm doing a re-airing a program with my husband, Craig Gandy, from May of 2014, just a couple of months before he passed away. And I watched it the other day, and he was talking about Daniel and Hosea. And I says, well, his words were so much from what was in the Bible that it's always good to hear his words again. So I think I had one other news that is breaks my heart to have to report news like this, but I believe that the only way we can expose evil is to report it. And instead of hiding, I can't remember who it was, but on the drive back from Houston the other day, someone said it's like if you have roaches and you turn the light on and you don't want anybody else to know you have the roaches instead of getting rid of it.
Right.
We got to get rid of evil.
Right, we got to turn the lights on and bring them out.
That's right. That's right. And that's what I'm trying to do as much as I can, is exposing the evil and the truth and the history of our country.
Thanks, Mauri, for doing that. Appreciate that.
So the bad news that I saw today was that a former Democrat Ohio mayor, Richard Kennan, admits when he was arrested, he admits to raping a 4-year-old for the last 2 years. And he blames the victim for being a willing participant. A 4-year-old. The report of Donald Trump raping a 13-year-old has made it to where it's impossible for me to vote for him, and I know we have a lot online, but I've had experience of my own daughter that had been raped, and I know the horrific effects of rape from a young girl. But a 4-year-old, and he's released on a $75,000 bond. A previous pastor that I had here in Austin, Larry Groh, told me, he's in Ohio, and he said they're reporting the news because a lot of media is not reporting this kind of stuff. It's like the cockroaches, when the light comes, they don't want to expose that kind of evil. So, we don't even have our news backdrop, Jonathan, and I think I'm over the news. The last thing I wanted to do on the news was Prime Minister Netanyahu has a 2-minute video for us in the United States, a message to us. So, Jonathan, can you play that?
I'm sure many of you have heard the claim that Jewish communities in Judea, Samaria, the West Bank, are an obstacle to peace. I've always been perplexed by this notion, because no one would seriously claim that the nearly 2 million Arabs living inside Israel, that they're an obstacle to peace. That's because they aren't. On the contrary, Israel's diversity shows its openness and readiness for peace. Yet the Palestinian leadership actually demands a Palestinian state with one precondition: no Jews. There's a phrase for that. It's called ethnic cleansing. And this demand is outrageous. It's even more outrageous that the world doesn't find this outrageous. Some otherwise enlightened countries even promote this outrage. Ask yourself this: would you accept ethnic cleansing in your state? A territory without Jews, without Hispanics, without blacks? Since when is bigotry a foundation for peace? At this moment, Jewish school children in Judea, Samaria are playing in sandboxes with their friends. Does their presence make peace impossible? I don't think so. I think what makes peace impossible is intolerance of others. Societies that respect all people are the ones that pursue peace. Societies that demand ethnic cleansing don't pursue peace. I envision a Middle East where young Arabs and young Jews learn together, work together, live together, side by side, in peace. Our region needs more tolerance, not less. So the next time you hear someone say, Jews can't live somewhere, let alone in their ancestral homeland, take a moment to think of the implications. Ethnic cleansing for peace is absurd. It's about time somebody said it. I just did.
I figured I could say that maybe on this issue, just kind of short, read it, and then talk about it in a minute. Oh, am I? Okay, well, then I guess we're talking about it now.
We were saying, what were we going to talk about? You know, many of you who have watched our previous shows know that I had a brain aneurysm 4 months after my husband passed away, and that was in November of 2014. So I had to learn how to talk again. I mean, I knew what to say, but I couldn't communicate, and I still have some problems, but I'm doing a lot better. To be on TV is a miracle. I never thought I would be back on TV. And my passion has not been to be on TV, but my husband, he was awesome. He's the best host I've ever known, and he could always just come and talk and always had something to say, always interviewed people, and it would just, but he taught me a lot in those 5 years, so, you know, I'm going to follow his footsteps the best I can. But when I did learn how to read again, I used a lot of Facebook posts, you know, the little, what Craig would call blip verbs, you know, just little clippings of information where he would read for a whole book, you know. I mean, he was so informed of what was going on. And so I started getting a lot of friends at Facebook, a lot of Christian supporters of Ted Cruz. And the very first book that I was able to read, the whole book, was Ted Cruz's. And it was just really important to me because it taught me a lot of, my husband was always the one that did political stuff. I just took care of our family and did advertising and Just for Kids ministries. I did that for 18 years. But politics was not something that really interests me. But I knew that my husband would want me to be informed of what was going on. And Ted Cruz's A Time for Truth really did help teach me a lot. And following him and having friends that were praying for him and just the integrity. And I used to say a lot of things, integrity versus iniquity. It's just an important saying of mine. And when the Trailer Park Show, which, you know, we're friends with Pokey and Chris Ritter here at the studio. They've had a political show for, I think, 16 years. And they're still going, and sometimes Jonathan and I will go out and help them on their political show. And when they did right before in February, when we were voting here in Texas, they asked us to go. And it was the first time that I went on television again. And I was representing Ted Cruz because I'm a strong Ted Cruz supporter. And when I was gathering my information, I had become friends with Neal, and he does a lot of, they call it memes or meme?
Oh, they call it memes.
Memes? Is that how it's
memes. Yeah.
I just read it. I didn't know what it was.
Yeah, I used to call it memes too because it was all about me, right?
So he does a lot of videos, and he worked with Ted Cruz's campaign doing videos and stuff. And we had we showed one of the videos that you did here at the studio, and that's how we got to know each other. And we have a lot of friends in the community of the Ted Cruz community,
right?
Those with integrity. Yeah. So I wanted to ask you about how you. Because you're not a Texan. I mean, you know, a lot of us followed Ted since 2000, and since he was our Solicitor General here. And when I first knew about Ted is when he took all the way to the Supreme Court our 10 Commandments at the state capitol. I have to show you that when you go to the state capitol. Yeah,
great to see that.
Get a picture of you with this.
Right.
We're one of the few states that still keeps God's 10 Commandments on there.
We're all very proud of Texas right now. The outsiders looking in at you guys, and we're all going to be involved in Texas. So that's very important for, you know, Texans to know that there's many people out there helping you all. And
we have great leadership here in Texas.
Yes, it's phenomenal. You know, the Kingwood Tea Party really shocked me, you know, coming from Missouri, and I live in a 97% Republican county, so we win down the ballot all the time there, you know. And schools are better. Just the park, everything is just centered around opportunity and freedom, you know. The Democratic Party doesn't provide that anymore to people, you know, and you can only find it with the Republican Party, you know. And if we don't straighten that party out, we're going to be just like the Democrats, you know. It's
becoming more and more left.
It's a group of hyenas, and you stick a lion in with the hyenas, and you know what's going to happen to the lion. And it's up to us to make sure Ted Cruz has got some more lions in there to defend the pride, you know, the pride of our country. So that's what.
Yeah, that was one of the things that he said when he gave up his campaign and realizing that he was losing. And it was amazing how he was an underdog coming out and just took over. I mean, he had what do they call a grassroots?
Yeah, the grassroots. He said we would win the campaign in the end, and here we go. We're continuing the march, and in the end, we're going to win it for Ted Cruz and for Texas, and then we're going to continue until we win it for the United States government. And It's all about our sovereignty now. You know, we've helped the world. We're number one in humanitarian. I can't think of any other country out there that's done the humanitarian deeds that Americans have. There's no one out there can't say we're second to anyone, because that's what makes a difference in America, what you do for others. And we've proved time and time again we stand up when it comes to that, you know.
Well, you were just telling me that you'd kind of given up watching a lot of media and what was going on.
Yeah, I actually dropped out of everything, I guess. You know, Mitt Romney that was a bitter loss for everybody, you know, even Democrats I'm sure felt it. But I was real happy, you know, trying to get away from government and problems, and just because I fought so hard for almost 15 years trying to get people to get motivated. You know, you talk to a conservative and they listen, but they don't get motivated. You tell a Democrat what to do, they're gone and doing it. Don't even ask 2 questions about it. I think
they don't do the research. They just go.
Right, they just go. I think Republicans need to be take a little bit from their party, and when we ask them to do something, to do it. We have to get it done. If we keep saying, well, I don't want to be like the Democrats and do what I'm told to do, well, we're being told by a great party here in the Republicans right now, and if we don't get out there and fight, they're going to roll over us. You know, there won't be nothing left, and it'll just be, you know, feeding one great lion to, you know, all them hyenas that are taking over, and not going to make it that way. We need to make sure that Ted Cruz has a good down-the-ballot Republican to fight with him. Ted can't do it by himself. We're going to have to.
It was a bit Mike Lee,
yeah.
And maybe Rubio. Most of the time, I guess he's been, but so few have really stood for righteousness.
Exactly. And there's only one electable person. You know, it's Ted Cruz. You know, there's too many problems with the Mormon issue. I'm not against Mormons, but in all reality, it could become a factor of Mike Lee not winning the presidency, but I see him being a Supreme Court justice. You know, I think he'd serve great in there. Mm-hmm. Ted's the only chance we have to get our principles in the White House, and this is the time. You know, we got to get him in 2018 into the Senate, and then from there we'll just follow Ted, and whatever he says, we'll, you know, stick to the game plan. We have to do that. We need unity within ourselves, and respect Ted for his wishes. You know, just we need to pay a little more attention, get a lot more involved. You know.
Yeah, that's true. Well, you know, because of the campaign trail that Ted Cruz had, he gained a lot of respect all over the United States, and people that just saw he was honest, he's truthful,
right. Yeah, everyone seen his, you know, the right-wing Republican, everyone's like, oh, he'll never make it. And then when
he's a Christian. I don't want to vote for a Christian. Why wouldn't you want to vote for a Christian?
When he stepped up, his right wing was common sense. So they wanted to remove, well, he ain't no right-wing conservative. He's the conservative we've been dreaming of for maybe more than 60 years. And
my lifetime, for sure.
And if it's a tough loss that he didn't get nominated, but if Ted Cruz would have been put in there in 2016, he wouldn't have got nothing done because of the hyenas that are in there waiting for him to come in there. So,
well, you know, the Bible says there's a revolution coming at the end times. And it's people of righteousness and character and those that are following God that are going to take over and lead our country and our world.
Whether we like it or not. God is placing us in places we don't even know where we're at, like myself, you know.
Speaking of Christians, I've read a post yesterday from one of my friends, and she said that she was told that a person who had worked for 10 years for a ministry, that the ministry endorsed Trump, he lost his job for writing pro-Cruz and never Trump posts. Is that America? Is it our church? For a man of integrity, you're gonna get fired for supporting a Christian and saying you will not support a man who is so blatantly, I'm not sure if that's the right word, blatantly, in your face a sinner, when there was a clear choice, he was fired by a ministry. It's just absolutely outrageous.
Yes, it is. It's something, they just, it's about money with them, and they have to put things in and pull things out to get the people they want to sit in front of them to listen, and that's the problem with it all. It's not up to man to decide the rules of politics or God. We just let the Scripture guide us, and to cross-reference it and just let God's Word guide you. It's there's been...
Having an intimate relationship with God is so important. And, after losing my husband, my relationship with God is still there, but it's not like it had been. And that's one of the things I'm having to
Right.
get deeper, because, things didn't happen the way I thought it was.
Right.
And here I am going on forward. I'm looking at my time because we have this 19-minute clip, and so we'll be going out at 38, and I can barely see, I think, 2 more minutes. So you have 2 more minutes of something, final words before we go. Be sure and tune in Wednesday at 5:30 to 6:30. We'll be live again, and we're going to get more information about what you're doing and what your goals are and just what's in your heart, what's going on.
Yeah, that'd be great.
I don't think Greg has ever been in TV before, right?
No, so this is all new to me, and I prefer to remain anonymous, but God wants me to get out in front of Austin audience and start talking truth, and it's going to take me a little bit to adjust to live television and all that, but I'll continue to grow with the audience, and I've got a lot of things that you're going to learn, as we move forward to the 2018 win for Ted Cruz in Texas Senate.
That's right. So that's really why we're live again. Of course, about news here in the Austin area, world news, and I got some blue hair because we're chroma keying. Maybe I should do some blue. But we're going to talk about we're going to show the video that Greg videoed. What kind of camera did you have to do it, Jamie? My daughter was asking me.
It was a Sony, just a little point-and-shoot one, and
it did great.
Yeah,
it
did, didn't it?
So much for doing that, because we're going to be able to show that in 30 seconds here, right, John?
I just wanted to say that Ted Cruz has got that Tyler event, and for the dinner event. Yeah, this Friday, the 23rd. Do they still have
tickets available?
I believe so. It's at the Holiday Inn there in Tyler, Texas. The Champions, Grassroots America, We the People. And I wanted to get that address in here if I can find it here. As a matter of fact, you can contact Becky at gawtp.com or call, can I get the number?
Sure can.
Or call 903-805-1234 and leave a detailed message if no answer.
Okay, great. Yeah, we're going to be there.
Yeah,
Several of us are going to drive. I can't believe we're driving that far.
I know. It's going to be great.
I think he was one of the grassroots the Tea Parties that endorsed him.
Yeah, the first one where he started his, that's where it all started.
All right, well, go ahead. And Jonathan, you want to do the video?
Thank you so very much. It is so wonderful to be back with so many great friends. Robin, thank you so much. Robin and Jim, you both are such incredible warriors for liberty. Thank you for that testimony that, Robin, you were standing with me even despite our lousy videos. But they've gotten better, so thank you. It is great to be with you all. It's great to be with my colleagues, with John Culberson and Kevin Brady. Thank you both for serving and fighting to defend the Constitution. And it's particularly gratifying to all of us to see tonight Judge Ted Poe. Hey! We had been lifting Ted up in our prayers. As he's battling cancer, I'll tell you, I'm wearing the orange bracelet that my daughter Caroline, who's 8, has worn every day for a month in her 3rd grade class. The Team Poe bracelet. And the power of prayer and the power of love is strong, and it's great to see Ted back and standing strong and healthy and going back to work, and we're glad to have him back. Yeah. You know, the biggest reason I'm here tonight is for everyone here in the room just to say thank you to you. This is a room of fighters. This is a room of warriors. This is a room of principled men and women who love our country, who love freedom, who love the Constitution. This is a room of men and women who have and will crawl over broken glass to turn our country around.
Yes.
And you know, I have to say, the journey of the last 2 years has been a truly incredible journey. Heidi and I, more than anything, are just filled with overwhelming gratitude. Gratitude at having the opportunity to travel the journey. Gratitude at the opportunity to work alongside so many of you fighting for this country we love. And I just want to say to each of you, thank you. Thank you for fighting for this country, for our kids, for our grandkids. Thank you for standing up and speaking the truth. The truth matters. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
So tonight I wanted to share with you all some of the things I've been focusing on the last couple of months after calling off the race. You know, just last week we were driving the girls to school, and Catherine, our 5-year-old, said, "Daddy, are things back to normal?" I said, "Well, I guess so." But you know, my priorities have been fighting for the very same principles that our presidential campaign was focused on, fighting for those same principles and values every day in the United States Senate. A couple of months ago, we did a hearing on willful blindness, on the Obama administration's repeated policy of ignoring the threat of radical Islamic terrorism. I got to tell you, it was a hearing that was a chilling hearing. We heard how radical activists demanded of the Obama administration that they conduct a purge, and purge is the word they used, of their security records. And we heard a whistleblower testify how the Department of Homeland Security altered or deleted over 800 security documents to remove words like jihad or Muslim Brotherhood. You remember the horrible terrorist attack in Orlando, where that terrorist called 911, pledged his allegiance to ISIS, pledged his allegiance to al-Baghdadi, the leader of ISIS. And when the Obama administration released the tape of that 911 call, they edited that portion out. I mean, this is right out of George Orwell. They just cut it out, and then Loretta Lynch, the Attorney General, had the audacity to say, "We may never know why he did what he did." Well, maybe when he picked up the phone and called you to tell you why he was doing what he was doing. If you hadn't edited out of the tape, you might have some clue. But that willful blindness is dangerous. It is dangerous, and it's a systematic policy of this administration. We're seeing terror attack after terror attack after terror attack, where the administration has red flags all over the place, and they drop the ball and are not stopping. So that has been a major topic of my time and attention in the Senate. Another major topic. Another major topic and focus has been protecting our freedom on the internet.
Yes.
On September 30th, the Obama administration intends to do something really quite radical. They intend to transfer control of the internet over to an international, what's called community of stakeholders. That includes foreign nations like Russia and China and Iran. Now, right now, the internet, the way it works, America invented the internet. We invented it. It wasn't even Al Gore. We invented it, and the entire world has benefited from the freedom, from the open speech, from the entrepreneurship that is possible online. It has transformed the way we live our lives, the way we experience the world. Now, the basic architecture of the internet. There's a nonprofit called ICANN that administers top-level domain names, things like .com, things like .net or .org. And it does so under a contract with the United States Department of Commerce. Now, the value of that is the federal government has ensured we've had an internet free of censorship. There's nobody online that steps in and decides, is what you say acceptable and what you say not, does what you say stay on the internet and your speech gets taken down. And yet what the Obama administration has promised to do on September 30th is terminate that contract with the federal government and basically shift things to what would be in effect a mini United Nations. Where nations who are enemies of ours, nations who do not believe in free speech, who censor speech and want to censor our speech, would have more and more power to do so. I chaired a hearing this week on the administration's effort to give away the internet, and it is my hope, I'm working with John, I'm working with Kevin, and I'm working with leaders in both houses to have Congress this next week prohibit the Obama administration from giving away control. You got it. It's a funny thing about liberals. What is it with that? Jimmy Carter gave away the Panama Canal. And now Obama wants to give away the internet. Just stop it, guys. All right, the third area that I've been focusing on is Iran. This administration, we now know, sent $1.7 billion to Iran.
Treason.
In cash. Unmarked bills, flown in the dark of night to Europe, transferred into foreign currency, loaded on pallets, loaded onto a plane, and flown into Iran in the dark of night.
Sounds like money laundering.
Yeah. Money laundering.
Sure does. Now let me just ask a little bit of common sense here. Let's say I was coming by your house, and at closing, I showed up with 3 duffel bags of cash and said, is it all right when we do the closing if I just pay you in unmarked $20 bills? My guess is you'd think something pretty fishy was going on. Now wait a second, why isn't a mortgage company involved in this? Why isn't there a cashier's check? Why isn't there the ordinary indicia of legal commerce? And why wasn't Congress involved? There's only one reason you transfer unmarked cash in the middle of the night to Iran, and that is because you were hiding it, because you know you were violating federal laws, you were violating the laws on assisting terrorism. And there is one reason why Iran wants unmarked cash, because that money will be used to murder Americans, to murder Israelis, to murder Europeans. It will be used for terrorism, and it's our taxpayer money. That is fundamentally wrong. There needs to be accountability, and I'm doing everything I can in the Senate to press to hold accountable this administration for funding terrorism.
Thank you, Ted Cruz.
state. Traveling the state, going and visiting NASA, going and visiting military bases across the state, going and visiting our ports, going and visiting communities in East Texas, in West Texas, down in the valley, all across the state. This week I introduced the NASA reauthorization bill to ensure that space exploration continues going forward on a steady ground that continues generating thousands and thousands of high-paying jobs here in Texas.
Yeah.
I will admit, one of the more cool things that I got to do as I was traveling the state is out in El Paso. I went to Fort Bliss and got to go in a tank and fire a tank. Let me just tell you, all right, a big M1 Abrams tank, they have 16 tank shells. They're about this big, and they're huge. And I got to tell you, if you've never been in a tank when it fires, when the big gun goes off, the world shakes. And so we were out on the tank range, hitting the targets, the tank range, it's right there, so I like to say we invaded New Mexico. And there were moments where you just look up and go, all right, that's kind of cool. But let me tell you also politically where I'm focusing my time and energy. One of the big things I'm focusing on is holding on to the United States Senate.
Yes, yes. Yes.
This election, the Senate is hanging by a thread. And I do not want to wake up in November and hear these words. Majority Leader Chuck Schumer. I promise you, that would be a bad, bad thing for our nation. And so I am working hard to help my colleagues in tough races get reelected, to help raise money for them, to help turn out the vote. We're using digital to target conservatives, to get messages to conservatives across the country to say, stand up and hold on to the Senate, because whatever happens, we need a check of a Republican Senate to check the executive and to protect our liberty.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then my other major political focus is working to turn conservatives out in the state of Texas. Tomorrow's Constitution Day. You look at the rights we value. Those rights, one after the other, are at risk of being lost in the Supreme Court of the United States. The Second Amendment, our individual right to keep and bear arms, the Heller decision, authored by Justice Scalia, was 5-4. The court's now divided 4-4. The next president will determine which way it goes, whether the court continues to say that you and I have an individual right to keep and bear arms. You look at religious liberty decisions, such as the decision upholding the Ten Commandments Monument here on the Texas State Capitol grounds, such as the decision upholding the Mojave Desert Veterans Memorial, such as the Hobby Lobby decisions protecting the religious liberty of all of us. Every one of those decisions was 5-4. With Justice Scalia's passing, the next president will determine whether our religious liberty is stripped away for generations, whether our free speech is stripped away for generations, whether federalism, the protections of states' rights and individual liberties are stripped away for generations, whether U.S. sovereignty, the ability of this country to stand up to the United Nations and foreign tribunals that would bind our nation and take away our freedom. Every one of those issues is hanging in the balance 5-4. And I'll tell you one thing that is absolutely clear. Hillary Clinton is manifestly unfit to be President of the United States.
Yeah.
I do have some government housing in mind for her, but it's a little smaller and has fewer windows. each of you. In Texas, it matters that we turn out. It makes a difference. You know, if conservatives decide, I may not be happy with how this election turned out, so I'll just stay home. It doesn't take that many to have an enormous impact on the outcome. It doesn't take that many staying home in county after county after county to suddenly start seeing devastating losses, massive wins for Democrats on local judicial races, on state rep races, on state senate races, on races up and down the ticket. 1%, 2%, 3% stay home, and suddenly the results, particularly in close, big urban counties, can make a big, big difference. So I'm here today to urge every one of you, do not stay home on election day. Come out, and not only come out, bring your friends, bring your neighbors, bring everyone to come out and vote, to exercise your civic duty to stand up and defend our freedom and defend the Constitution of the United States. I don't know what the future will hold, but I do know that each of us, when our journey is done, when we're looking back on our lives, when we're looking back at our kids and grandkids, we're going to ask, did we stand up? Did we speak the truth? Did we defend the principles and values this country was built on? Did we fight to leave a better America to the next generation? And one thing I am absolutely certain is that the men and women of the Kingwood Tea Party are going to be able to answer that question, hell yes.